What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ntwaniengomane. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back and welcome to today's video. So it is officially halfway through the year. We are well into 2024. I cannot believe it's been 6 months and we only have 6 more months to go. It just feels like this year has flown by so quickly. One moment I'm moving into this new apartment, the next moment we're halfway through the year. It's just been crazy. I actually wanted to do this video and I think it's fitting at this time of the year because a lot of you guys may be thinking about a career shift, a career change, especially if you are in your third year of articles. You're completing your articles this year. You got 6 more months to go. You're finally getting signed off all of those competencies and you'll finally probably move away from that toxic manager you've been working with, or the toxic environment you've been in. Hopefully it hasn't been toxic, but we know how it goes sometimes. Or maybe you're not even like in a toxic environment. You just feel like I need a change. I need to do something else with my career, but I haven't really figured out what. This video is hopefully going to give you a little bit of insight into what you can consider to look into after the 6 months are done or whenever you're ready. So for each role that I'm going to discuss, I will discuss the skills that you need for that role. I'll discuss the day-to-day activities that you're actually going to be doing in that role. I will give you an example of the companies that you could work for in such a role. And lastly, I'll give you the salary scale for a newly qualified CA. Disclaimer, okay, disclaimer. This is based on my own research, so you could go out in the market and find like maybe different salary bands. It also depends where you are. This is primarily for South Africa. It also depends where in South Africa you are. So your salary in Cape Town versus Joburg versus Durban versus PE is not gonna be the same. It also depends on the size of the company that you work for, i.e. bigger company might have a bigger pay compared to a smaller company or a medium-sized firm company. And yeah, so like just take it with a pinch of salt, okay, until you do your own research. But I just wanted to point you, the idea here is to plant the seed and give you like the basic information, and then you can decide what you want to do with that information. One thing I want to say about the skills is that I know a lot of you might be thinking, oh, but I don't have those skills. I'm just coming out of articles and all of that stuff. Trust me, if you really dig deep into yourself, into all the board exams that you've done some sort of you've had some sort of exposure. And the great thing about chartered accountants from South Africa is that our skills are diverse. We have skills in 4 different majors, and we are taught through APC the ability of research. And if you still feel like that's not enough, you can always just do like a little short course on Coursera or on Udemy, or you can read up on it or stuff like that. What I want to say here is don't feel like you can't apply for these jobs because you're not 100% confident in that skill. The whole point of being a beginner again when you're newly qualified is for you to learn. It's for you to get into something new and learn something new. So you're always going to have to start from the ground anyway. The first role that I have for you is being a forensic accountant, right? And I know I said I'm going to stay away from the traditional accounting role, but being a forensic accountant is different. You look into fraudulent activities, you investigate stuff that come up within the company or the department that you work with. So what are some of the skills that you can expect to have as a forensic accountant? The first of which is analytical skills. So you need to be able to look into financial information or financial statements and sort of suss out like discrepancies, any fraudulent activities that may be happening. The next thing is attention to detail. Obviously, if you're going to be analyzing financial information and financial statements, you need to have that eye for detail to see, oh, this doesn't really agree to that, or there's a discrepancy between this set of information and that set of information. And then the next thing is to have an investigative mindset. If you like investigative shows on TV and you're like, oh, but how did that happen? How did this person do da da da? This is for you. You need to have that mindset to keep asking questions, and you need to also have the ability to interview people. So let's talk about the day-to-day activities. What exactly are you going to be doing? So the first thing is you're going to be doing forensic investigations, really. So if something has gone wrong in the organization that you work for, or in the department that you work for, someone broke the law, somebody contravened a policy, or there's some sort of fraudulent activity that's happening, it is your job to investigate and get the details and get the evidence and get all of that. And then you will be analyzing data as well to see if there are any illegal activities, discrepancies. You'll be preparing reports. What I've seen from my friend who is now a forensic accountant is she works a lot with lawyers, so she prepares reports for lawyers to go represent the company that they work for. She also works a lot with the courts as well, preparing and giving them evidence of her forensic investigation. So like if you've ever watched a court case and they call up like the forensic department, that is the forensic accountant. Sometimes, obviously depending on your level of seniority, they wouldn't obviously put like an analyst or like someone who's new to go to court, you get what I mean? So those would be like your partners maybe, or like senior people in the department. So companies that you can work for as a forensic accountant, you can work for the big four firms. They have forensic divisions where they do and offer forensic services as in consulting. Like for other companies, you can work for law firms like your Bowmans, your Weber Wenzel, as part of their forensic division as well. You can also work for your corporate security departments in your large banks, so your standard banks, your FNBs, and all of those financial institutions also have forensic services. And there's a lot of emphasis on financial institutions because a lot of illegal or fraudulent activities can happen at a bank. And lastly, if you have the stomach for it, you can go into government and government agencies to be a forensic accountant there. If you do not fear for your life, you can work for the Special Investigations Unit, or you can work for companies like SARS. For a forensic accountant, you can expect to start off as a newly qualified CA at around 500 to 600,000 and can go all the way to 900,000 per annum depending on the company that you work at. The second unconventional role that you can look into is becoming a financial technology consultant. If you've heard anything about tech lately, it has been booming. Fintech has been booming as well. So here, this is where you basically merge businesses with technology, specifically financial technology, to help better and improve their processes, to improve their strategy, and to improve and grow their business. What skills do you need to have to become a financial technology consultant or a fintech consultant? The first thing is you obviously have to have tech acumen. If you're going to go into the tech industry, you need to have some sort of tech acumen. You need to be able to understand emerging technology within the finance space, how it's used, how it's emerged, the risks it has, and the solutions that it can bring to your client or your business. The second thing is you need to be innovative. All right, so you need to have the ability to implement these technologies and these new emerging technologies with your business processes to obviously drive solutions for your business or your clients. The third thing is also the third skill you need to have is project management skills. Project management skills is very easy, especially when you're coming from an audit background where you've managed an audit project. You know how to see something from start to finish, and that's basically it. So if you're in fintech, you'll be implementing a certain technology for a business. You just need to be able to oversee that process from start to finish, right? And then what about the day-to-day? What would you be doing as a fintech consultant? The first thing is you'll be obviously advising clients depending on the kind of company you work for, whether you work from an advisory perspective or you work within the company. It'll determine the day-to-day, but you can expect to be advising clients on the integration of fintech solutions in their business, how they can take these new technologies and use them in their business. The second thing you can do on a day-to-day is market research. Obviously, you'd have to go into the market, research what's new, what's coming up, what's user-friendly, what's good for your clients, what's good for your business, stuff like that. And you also, like I said, be managing fintech projects. And then the last thing would be analyzing client requirements. What is the problems? What is the client's problems, or what are their requirements? And is there a fintech solution that I can bring to them that would meet their requirements? Companies you can work for as a fintech consultant. The first is obviously fintech companies like Yoko, Jumbo, Lumo. So Yoko, you know, that speed point that a lot of small businesses have been using for tapping. You can work for Yoko, the actual company, in, you know, the actual fintech company. And then you can also work for consulting firms like your Accenture, your BCG, your McKinsey's. They have, obviously they are management consulting firms, so they would consult with fintech clients that want solutions. So you can work as a consultant, or you can go straight into the banks where the money is. I get, but you can go straight into the banks and be part of the fintech team within a bank. So like your Investec, your Discoveries, and other big banks in South Africa. And then lastly, of course, you can always work for tech giants if you have the network and the opportunity comes your way to work for Google, for Amazon, for Microsoft. Those are good companies to work for as well. So what can you expect to make as a fintech consultant in South Africa as a newly qualified CA? I think fintech, based on my research, starts from around 600K to about 1.2 million. Obviously, depending on the company, the size of the company that you work with, and your responsibilities as well, that will sort of change the scale. But like I said, do your own research. This is just my research. Also, if you are in any of these jobs, please let me know in the comments if the research that I have found is spot on, especially on the day-to-day activities, because I think that's really important for people to know before they go into a certain job. And secondly, the salary, because I know like sometimes the research that you do, especially if it's on the internet, can be very different to the reality of it on the actual job, and depending on where people are employed. So the internet just takes the average, whereas if you are in this type of roles, you would know for sure. So let us know in the comments if I'm spot on, if there's somebody who's interested in that position and you are in it, or you know somebody in it. Connect each other in the comments. The next job role is one of my favorites. I think this I could potentially go into. I think I could potentially want to try out this role, which is being a corporate strategist, right? So a corporate strategist is basically you work in a more of a consulting role, unless if you're employed in-house as a strategist, which is quite rare, but I mean some companies do have that as part of their executive team. So as a corporate strategist, you are the one who goes in and you develop a strategy for a business concerning a specific kind of department. You go in to help them with their marketing strategy, or you go and help them with their growth strategy, or whatever kind of, you know, department or whatever kind of requirement that a client has. You are there to develop a strategy to help them achieve their goals. So what sort of skills do you need to become a corporate strategist? The first is obviously you need to have strategic planning skills. So you need to have like that visionary mindset to say, this is the goal we want to achieve and this is how we're going to get to the goal. So you need to think about the long-term strategy of the business, all the risks and everything that goes into that, and you need to say, this is the plan that we're going to implement. The second thing is you need to be able to do market analysis. Obviously analyze the market, identify the trends, identify the data that is available that will help you to make informed decisions for a certain business. And lastly is financial modeling. Now, financial modeling is thrown around, especially in positions at banks where you look into, you know, the future, and it's a very helpful tool to like help you make decisions. So if you want to see how profitable would it be to have a business combination, for instance, you could model that, right? And run the model, run the numbers, see if in 5 years or 10 years time the combined business will be profitable or not. So the ability to develop those models is a very sought after skill in strategy, because that model will then help you make decisions today for the future. Day to day, what can you expect to be doing as a corporate strategist? The first thing is obviously developing long-term strategy. You need to be looking at the business growth, the business competitiveness, all of these things in around the business, the trends, the markets, the legal environment, all of that stuff, for you to be able to form out or make out a strategy. And the second thing, you need to do a lot of reading, a lot of analyzing information, a lot of market research. Your strategy needs to stay competitive at all times, and obviously account for what is happening in the market, interest rates rising, stuff like that. And then you also need to be able to be preparing those models. So on a day-to-day, you'll be running models, things like that. Collaborate with senior management as well. You can imagine if you're in a strategic role, you will be working very closely with like the CFOs, the CEOs, the people who make the decisions and who make strategic decisions in a business. So you need to be able to have that social aspect as well, to liaise with those people, to collaborate with senior management, to also align the objectives of the business to the strategy that you're developing. And I think lastly is when you finally do implement that strategy, you need to be able to monitor that it is going well. So what kind of companies can you work for as a corporate strategist? You can work for any company actually, because if you think about it, all companies on this planet have some sort of strategy that they're following. It just would depend on what industries you want to work for. But for example, you can work for large corporates like Sasol, Naspers, ShopRite, Woolworths. All of these businesses all have strategies. You can work from a management consulting perspective. So if you work for like Bain & Companies or your Boston Consulting Groups, all of those. Or you can go into investment firms. Investment firms also have strategy. They have investment strategies. So if you want to get into like the financial aspect of it, you can work for RMB, for Allen Gray, or for any of the banks as well. And maybe you can consider conglomerates as well. Things like Bidvest, which have a group of companies that do various and different things, or Remgrow, for example. So that's what you can do as a corporate strategist. I think this is a very interesting role. I think I would go into this kind of role, and you can expect to start off in terms of salary from like 700k from my research to about 1.5 million. Obviously the scale will be different depending on where you work, your responsibilities, your skills, and your level of experience. The fourth role is being a data analytics specialist. Guys, we live in an era where everything is driven by data. Before you download an app, there are some terms and conditions you have to agree to, that they will be collecting your data from the use of the app or collecting your data from the phone. Somebody is sitting somewhere analyzing that data and making business out of that data, making business out of the trends that you are interested in. Whether you click on the Nike ad and then you go and click on a Superbalist ad, they are collecting that data to give you more relevant ads and to give you more relevant content, and to use that information to push more and more ads for you to spend your money on. So at the end of the day, data analytics is going to become, and is already, a big part of our lives. So if you're somebody who likes to, I don't want to say spy on people, but like use data to learn of people's habits or to make decisions, or you just like analyzing data and analyzing stuff, I think being a data analytics is gonna be right up your alley, right? So what skills do you need to have to become a data analyst? The first thing is obviously you need to be able to analyze data. You need to be able to put data into perspective. And we're not talking small amounts of data here. We're talking large amounts of data. You need to be able to analyze that and extract actionable steps. Like, what can you do with that data? How can the data help the business? And how can that data help us make day-to-day decisions, right? The next thing is obviously statistical knowledge. Where there's a lot of data, it's a lot of statistics, it's a lot of probabilities. So you need to have some sort of acumen and some sort of understanding with that. Obviously, I'm not saying right after articles where you are now, you need to be a pro at this thing. You will learn as you go into the job. I think the main thing that's important though is you have interest, is you actually have genuine interest in any of these roles. The next thing is technical skills, and that's like data analytics softwares that are being used. That's like programming languages like Python, for example. So those you can do a course to learn how to use those analytics tools. The day-to-day, what exactly will you be doing on a day-to-day? First of all, you'll be analyzing data. You'll be sitting through a computer. Every time I imagine a data analyst, I imagine screens in front of a person, and this is like things going on and data running. That's how I imagine your day-to-day would be. I could be wrong. And you'll also be like building and maintaining data models as well, because data models help you make informed decisions as well. And you'll be collaborating with businesses and help them with data-driven solutions, and reporting to obviously your executive committees about and advising on their strategy based on what the data is telling you. What companies can you work for as a data analyst? Obviously, tech. Tech is big, guys. Tech is everywhere. You can work for Takealot, you can work for Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Accenture. You can work for financial institutions. Your old mutuals, all the banks have data. Banks work on data. Your accounts are there, your passwords are there. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So you can work in the data department. I don't know, do they call it data department? No. You can work in the tech department of your banks and be a data analyst there. Or you can work for data analytics firms like your Accenture, your PVT groups, and you can also work for retail chains like your Pick n Pay, your Woolies, your ShopRites as well. How much can you expect to make as a data analyst in South Africa? You can expect to start from 650,000 big ones to 1.3 million. Again, depending on the company that you work for, your level of experience and your skills. The last one that I have for you, this is where my auditors and I thrive. This is what we have been taught from day one in our audit jobs. And this is being a business process improvement consultant, or a process manager, or a process analyst, whatever the title they call it, but you work with business processes. If you've been an auditor, you know what business processes are. You know what we mean when we talk about business processes. And so in this role, you are there to improve these processes. You are there to say, there's one control missing here. This doesn't really speak to that process. This doesn't really flow very well. So you are the person who is an expert in business processes. What skill do you need to have? You obviously need to have process mapping skills. So if something is happening in the business, you need to have that eye to be able to map it to a specific process, to say, is this the revenue process? Is this, risk and compliance? Is this? So you need to have that eye to be able to map new processes that emerge into existing old ones. The second thing is you need to be able to manage change, because there's going to be a lot of change in a business processes over time. Like I said, if you're bringing in fintech, for example, and you're bringing in technology, that will impact your business processes. And you also need to learn some business process management tools like the lean methodology. I just researched this. I don't know it myself, but I'm just putting it out there. And then the day-to-day, you'll also be analyzing a business processes and identifying areas for improvement, conducting training, letting people know how the processes run. As well, you'll be mapping out the processes, putting everything where it needs to be, and you'll be implementing this lean and sigma methodology to optimize efficiency of your business processes. And what companies can you work for? You can work for any company. Every company on this planet has business processes, whether they sell a product or a service, whether they're in finance, in tech, whether they're in healthcare, there is a business process. But for example, you can work for consulting firms in a consultant capacity, where you work for BCG, for example, your Deloitte, your PwCs, as a business process consultant. Or you can work in manufacturing. A lot of these manufacturing businesses have a lot of processes. You can imagine a manufacturing business has a lot of manufacturing processes that needs to be followed. So your SAB Miller, for example, your Unilever will have a lot of those. And you can work in finance, financial services, your banks, your financial institutions, or you can work in tech like your Googles, your Microsoft, your Takealots, your Amazons, etc. So how much can you expect to earn as a business process improvement consultant in South Africa? You can start anywhere from 600 to 1.1 million, again depending on your skill, experience, and the company that you work for. I hope you found this video helpful. It was a lot of technical, it was a lot of, like skills and day-to-days and all of that, but I really hope this like plants a seed in your mind and in your brain about the type of roles that are out there outside of the traditional audit manager, financial accountant, financial manager, all of these glamorized roles. And I hope you at least take one of these and you research it, maybe out of interest, or you find others that are unconventional that you might want to go into. But I would also recommend considering entrepreneurship, maybe not on a full-time basis, but I will always advise for people to consider having a side hustle, having a side business that you're building for yourself. It'll give you skills that none of these jobs can give you as well. So yeah, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you will be leaving articles in the next 6 months going to look for a new job and you found any of these helpful, please do like this video, comment down below, and let me know which one you think you might be going with. And because you guys will be leaving articles to join one of these roles, you will be looking to go into interviews well prepared, knowing your story, knowing how to sell yourself, and being confident. And that is why I have developed the ultimate interview guide, which is available for pre-order on the link down in the description box. It is dropping on the 7th of July, which is next week Sunday, and I cannot wait for you guys to have it. But it is available for pre-order right now at 50% off if you pre-order, obviously before the launch date. And yeah, you guys, that ebook, that guide is packed with so many gems, it's packed with so many tips, it's packed with so many strategies for you to prepare for your interview, mock interviews, how to conduct yourself on the day, how to answer some of the most common interview questions, and also to answer some of the not so common interview questions, like what are your salary expectations, and yeah, I hope you guys look into that. But otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video. Don't forget to like, to comment, to subscribe. I will see you guys next time. Bye.